when the morning fog in Bohai Bay was torn apart by the arc of an electromagnetic catapult and a J15T loaded with Hawk 12 anti-ship missiles took off at 300 km per hour, the strategic balance in the Western Pacific had been quietly tipped. A series of warnings from the U.S. magazine The National Interest and internal alarms from the Pentagon point to this fighter jet, known simply as the catapulted version of the J-15, which is by no means a conventional product of technological iteration, but rather the Chinese Navy's move from coastal defense to coastal defense. It is the strategic pivot point for the Chinese Navy to move from coastal defense to distant sea defense, and it is the core lever for prying the hegemony of the oceans. The T in the name of J15T often makes people mistakenly think that its core value only lies in its compatibility with the electromagnetic catapult takeoff of the Fujian ship, but this is precisely its most subtle strategic camouflage. Its front landing gear is topologically optimized and embedded with a high-strength titanium alloy skeleton, capable of withstanding the violent acceleration of 300 km/h at the moment of electromagnetic catapulting. However, the real subversive breakthrough lies in its unprecedented ability of bullet slip double repair. The J15T ejected from Fujian ship can land directly on the skid deck of Liaoning or Shandong ship to refuel and refuel when it encounters a fuel crisis or battle damage in the execution of long-distance missions without having to risk returning to the mothership. The J15T can directly land on the skid deck of Liaoning or Shandong, refueling and reloading before lifting off to fight again. This design makes the flight decks of China's 3 carriers constitute a dynamic rescue network for the first time, increasing the survival rate of formation fighters by more than 40%, which is equivalent to increasing the sustained combat power of half an aircraft carrier out of nowhere. When the U.S. naval aircraft are bound to a single platform due to deck incompatibility, the J15T has realized full deck access, completely rewriting the law of carrier survival. The power system is equally critical. After replacing the turbofan 10C engine, the thrust of a single unit reaches 14.5 tons, and the combined power of the two engines is 30% higher than that of the Russian-made L-31F, and the overhaul cycle has jumped from 300 hours to 1,500 hours. The surging power makes the J15T's combat radius break through 1,200 kilometers with full fuel and ammunition, and extends to 1,500 kilometers after hanging the sub-tanks, and it can cover the whole territory of Okinawa after taking off from the East China Sea. What's more amazing is the load capacity. 12 tons of munitions can be mounted on the skidding deck of Shandong ship, and the munitions can be mounted on the electromagnetic ejection of Fujian ship to 33 tons, which is 3 tons more than the USF, a 180, and it completely releases the potential of the heavy shipborne aircraft. Inside the J15T's nose-cut radome is the world's top active, phased array radar made of gallium nitride. The number of its T-R components has increased by 20% compared with that of J16, and its detection range exceeds 300 kilometers, 80 kilometers farther than the PG-79 radar of the USF, a 180, an advantage that directly translates into the right to fire before the enemy. When the mounted Thunderbolt 17 ultra-long-range missile locks onto the target, the opponent's early warning aircraft has not even perceived the threat. The latest exposure of the PL-15 medium-range bomb-mounted more completely shattered the U.S. military fantasy. Navy-type PL-15 salt corrosion composite materials and double-pulse engine, optimized for the sea-over-the-horizon air combat. Compared to the U.S. military hastily launched AIM-174B, PL-15 weight only 1/3, but can be 200 kilometers away from the precision-hunting high-mobility targets. What really makes the U.S. and Japan's Aegis system tremble is the J15T's wing-mounted Hawk 12 supersonic missile. This anti-ship sharp edge of the end of the dive speed of Mach 4, equipped with 500 kilograms of semi-armor-piercing combat parts and intelligent fuses, can make 10,000 tons of destroyers instantly lose combat power. The U.S. Navy simulation shows that the standard -6 missiles on its interception success rate of less than 35%, because the Eagle 12 Aegis system interception window compressed to 1/4 more lethal combination of systematic saturation strikes. 4 J15T formation can be fired in unison 16 Eagle 12, enough to paralyze a destroyer detachment. When these carrier killers and J-35 stealth fighters, KJ-600 early warning aircraft constitute a detection, attack, evaluation chain, the lethality of exponential growth, J-35 by virtue of the stealth characteristics of the front out of the J-35 by virtue of the stealth characteristics of the front out of the kick the door, specializing in air defense suppression and stealthy surprise defense, J600 450 kilometers away from the detection of F-35, the command of the whole situation. J-15D electronic warplanes to dual-engine power supply advantages of the implementation of electromagnetic asphyxiation. The 4 can be paralyzed by 4 out of the Tokyo power grid. The power release of J-15T cannot be separated from the medium-voltage DC magnetic ejection system of Fujian ship. Compared with the medium-voltage alternating current AC technology of the U.S. Ford class, the Chinese solution reduces energy consumption by 30% and improves the ejection efficiency by 40%, and the key breakthrough lies in the 50MW 120MJ flywheel energy storage device. It can release energy equivalent to 33 degrees of electricity in 3 seconds to accelerate a 30-ton shipboard aircraft to takeoff speed. This system has passed thousands of land-based tests, with a trouble-free cycle more than twice that of the US-made product. It is this reliability that supports the Fujian ship's blitzkrieg capability. Electromagnetic ejection interval of only 45 seconds, within 1 minute, can release 4 fighters. Then the Shandong ship's skidding takeoff efficiency increased by 300%. When the US military for the Ford catapult 6.3% failure rate headache, Chinese engineers have realized the catapult weight of 345 tons of full-spectrum coverage. For the future of shipborne drones on board the ship to lay the groundwork, with the production line running at full speed, with an annual output exceeding 40 aircraft, the J15T is reshaping the order of the seas with the momentum of an industrial flood. In the next 3 years, the Chinese Navy will receive at least 120 J15T's, completely replacing the old J15S, which have been relegated from the main force to a companion due to the overhaul of the Russian-made L-31F engine in 300 hours and the ineffectiveness of the mechanically scanned radar. J15T and J35, high and low collocation system, is writing a new formula for sea control. J-35 with stealth characteristics to play the door kicker, specializing in fleet air defense, and has 7 heavy loaded mounting points. J-15T is transformed into a bomb truck. The J-15T, with 7 heavily loaded mounting points, is transformed into a bomb truck, carrying 6 tons of electronic warfare pods to interfere with the Pacific Ocean, directing swarms of unmanned aerial vehicles to raid the area, and even carrying hypersonic missiles to launch a fatal strike. This division of labor not only brings into play the advantages of stealth fighters, but also circumvents the shortcomings of their shallow bomb bays and limited bomb carrying capacity, forming an impeccable offensive and defensive system. In May 2025, the Liaoning's actual combat drilled across the Miyako Strait with the J-15T became a vivid footnote to this strategic shift. In 2 days, 90 takeoffs and landings were completed, with a daily average of 45 carrier sorties, equaling the intensity of the US carriers in the Gulf War. Japan Air Self-Defense Force 40 F-15J because only equipped with mechanical scanning radar, in the J-15T gallium nitride radar, in front of the shape of the open-eye blind, the radio, was fire control locked, exclamation has become the norm. This war power comes from a triple strategic pivot point, deep control, 1,500 kilometers combat radius covering the Miyako Strait to Guam axis, and the Dongfeng 26B to form a double kill firepower network in the air and the sky. Sustained presence, the Fujian ship fresh water production of 1,500 kilometers per day, and the Fujian ship fresh water production of 1,500 kilometers per day. Fujian ship fresh water production of 1,500 tons per day, to support 90 days without resupply operations. Cost crushing, J-15T unit price is only half of the F-35C. Fujian ship costs $7.5 billion, but carry 1.3 times the amount of Ford's carrier aircraft. The blue flame of the electromagnetic catapult ignites the engine of the J-15T. The slanting radome scans the once inaccessible sea borders, and the Hawk 12 under the composite mount is ready to tear apart the myth of the steel beast. When the deck of Fujian ship is burned out by the tail flame of the fighter jet, the 1000th mark, the countdown to the transfer of power in the ocean has been accelerated in the roar of the engine. The value of J-15T is far more than a single weapon platform. It is the strategic beacon of China's sea power from yellow water to deep blue, but also the subversion of the logic of 100 years of sea power, technological autonomy, system innovation and cost control. The triple revolution of technological autonomy, system innovation and cost control is coloring the sky and waves of the Western Pacific Ocean with new colors.